Hey, Mark Powers, how you been, baby?
I am doing well, Michael. How about you?
Fantastic. It's nice to see you. Thank you for guesting. Mark Powers is the brain trust behind MichiganCMO.com. We're going to talk about his marketing business in a minute. We're going to talk wine today. We're going to talk about the good life and just catch up in general. We met on the social circuit so many years ago. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Yeah, it's been quite a while. Um, yeah, you've I feel like I've seen you in person recently. Oh, that's because we did. But no, I follow you everywhere around the social webs, and you're a stellar just ball of energy and inspiration. I love it.
I thought you were going to say I was a stud. I heard
You're a
ST.
stud muffin,
I
Michael.
just finished it for you. You're a
You did.
stud.
Awesome.
Before we get started, everybody, if you're listening to this interview, you can watch the video versions on the Michael Angelo Caruso YouTube channel. And if you're watching on the YouTube channel, you can listen to the podcast version on Podbean, iTunes, all of the great uh, podcast platforms. Mark, you and I have a lot in common. We're social animals. We love wine. I think you may, I don't know if you love wine more than I do, but you know a lot more about it. And we're going to chat about that in the opening minutes of our time today. In fact,
Okay.
you were in the wine business for a little while, yeah?
Yeah, 2010, I started to, I was doing a lot of global travel when at that time I was working for General Motors as a senior global web strategist. And when I was gone a lot. Whenever I was abroad, I'd go to vineyards, and then I didn't know much about wine other than I loved drinking it. So I started to learn about it, and I started this little blog at the time. And eventually it had to turn into more than just a blog. So it turned into an online publication called Uncorked Monthly. And we featured interviews of vineyard owners and winemakers all around the world. And I'm telling you, it was such an amazing experience. But I learned so much about the wine, what wine really represents, what it represented to me, etc. But yeah, since 2010,
Funny
I've been.
that you talked about it in the setting of being a road warrior for GM.
Right.
I started drinking when I went on the road too.
Oh yeah. Nothing else to do at night.
It's like, well, in my case, I worked alone. I was in the speaking business, and of course, was traveling alone, renting cars alone, flying alone. And then when you get to the hotel, it's too late to go out sometimes. And so where do you go? You go down to you could do room service, but then you're alone
Right.
again. So I'd find myself at the hotel bar. I got really good at chatting people, total strangers up. Truth be told, we got really good at that way back in the music business. Wine
Yeah.
is a lubricant. It's a conversational lubricant. It's a social lubricant. It's an elixir. Um, and I just think it's like grease is everything. The problem, of course, is it has addictive properties as well.
Yeah.
Like anything else that you really start to enjoy, you gotta do it with a little bit of moderation. My mom, who had a 10th grade education, said everything in moderation. The
Yeah.
smartest thing she ever told me, and very smart.
Yeah.
So you learned a lot about wine, and then you started um, educating people about it. And that's one
I
of the
did.
things I wanted to glean from you today. You're such an encyclopedia about wine.
Thank you.
A little background: wine goes way back. Way before these processes that we have today.
Oh yeah.
What country do we attribute, wine curation and cultivation most?
You can do a Google search and you'll get 10 different
Yeah.
regions and people claiming that they're the founders of wine production. I honestly don't know the history that well on it. To be quite honest, across Europe, definitely. I don't know who would claim to put the stake in the ground and say, "Oh, Italy made it." I don't know for sure.
Yeah, but
Um,
if you're at the store, you can almost shop for wine by country. I mean, they say
yeah,
Italian wines, German wines, French
yeah.
wines.
What's interesting about wine is I think a lot of people get intimidated by it because they don't truly understand it. They might enjoy it. they go to the grocery store and they see 60, 80 feet of options,
Yeah.
and it just becomes this wall of labels, and they have no idea how to select a good bottle of wine because they're afraid. They come at different price points. They might be disappointed. So they go for the ones that they always know, and that's fine. Like an everyday good wine that I even like is by the Wagner family, and it's called they're the ones who make Camus, but it's called Bonanza, right? And it's a good Cabernet, and it's a 20 depends on where you go, between 17 and $24 a bottle, and it's a great little gem of taste, so the
Yeah.
flavor great. But wine is complex. I mean, what interested me about it, and I'll be very short here, is I to me the wine's the duh. I want to know the story behind the winemaker. What made he or she very interested, and that became their life passion. And what does wine mean? As soon as you get behind the why of that story, the more it generates interest, loyalty, and community around that brand.
I hear this about paintings.
Yeah,
That a lot of people, they're admiring a painting anywhere. It could be a museum, anywhere.
yeah,
And when you talk to people who know art, they say there's a story behind the painting. Who painted it? Where did they paint it? What time period was it painted in?
yeah.
Never really thought about wine as a story, the story of the vinter, the story of the setting, the
Right.
country. Were we
So
at
I'll give you an
war?
example. Since you're talking about painting, I'll correlate the two. So, are you familiar with Orin Swift wines?
No.
So, Orin Swift, David Swift Finney, is the founder of Orin Swift of Orin Swift. And David, when he was 12 years old, and when he was a child, his parents took him to France every year for summer, and he went to school. And they would travel around, go to art museums. And have you ever heard of a wine called Prisoner?
Oh yeah, sure.
So he was the winemaker and founder of Prisoner. He created and developed that brand. And several years ago, he sold it. Now it's owned by the Prisoner Wine Company. But the interesting thing about this story and how it relates to painting is David is a huge art fan. And when he was in France for this particular summer, he came home from school, and the art gallery that they went to and visited frequently, he fell in love with this particular piece of artwork. So he comes home from France that summer, and in his bedroom is that art piece. And what it was a prisoner, and it's the label on that bottle is that art that was on the wall that ended up in his bedroom, and he loved it, and it felt like it was trapped. And so when I interviewed David Swift Finney for Uncorked Monthly, I didn't want to talk about his wine so much about like, oh, there's percentage of Merlot, percentage of Cab. I wanted to learn the story behind his creativity and drive to produce wine. And man, do I have stories about all his brands. He's probably one of the most interesting vineyard owners and winemakers I've ever met because of his creative mindset and how he has the audacity to do things a lot of vineyard owners won't do. But that's how Prisoner came about. It was a favorite art piece in France.
Yeah, and another thing that's a great story. Another thing that wine has in common with art is I wouldn't say that pricing is deceptive, but the pricing is, they have similar traits. Like you could buy a very expensive painting only to
Right.
find out it's not the painting you thought it was. You
You're right.
paid for it by a ton.
Yeah.
Very seldom, I think you would say you get a bargain on a painting. But the same thing is true with wine. You pay, $200 for a bottle of wine in the restaurant, and a few days later you find out you could have got it for $1.25.
Yeah. Yeah.
The labeling and the truth in advertising. I don't want to throw shadow here on the two industries because they've survived a lot longer than I have. But
Right.
those are two interesting characteristics of both markets. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And think about the audience, right? I mean, people, the art community, the wine art community. And that's what's interesting about, I think, the two, right? It's all about community. Wine and art bring people together. It gives them this common playground of fun and conversation.
Yeah.
and it puts people at ease, but allows them to kind of express themselves in ways that no one else, no other really, well, not to say no other, but it gives them an interesting conversation to have and a way to express themselves through those two medias, those
Yeah.
two, interests,
I
I
want to
should.
get some wine recommendations for our home here, and of
Yeah,
course, anybody that's listening can
yeah.
borrow your recommendations. Before we do, let's go back to geography. Fun question: if you had to spend the rest of your life in one country and
Oh
drink their wine for free,
boy.
which country would it be?
I'd have to say Italy. I have a lot of friends that own vineyards in Italy. Giuseppe Sala owns I Salvatrucci in Tuscany, and it's the most amazing wine I've ever had. It is fantastic. Don't ask me how to spell it. I'll send it to you. But
Well, I
I
appreciate that because Renee and I are going to Italy in the fall, so
oh,
I'm gonna hold you to that.
what
And when
what
you
part of
said Italy,
Italy
of
are you?
course, as an Italian, I smiled.
Nice. Yeah, I saw that. Whereabouts are you going in Italy?
We've got quite an itinerary. It's our honeymoon trip. So
Oh,
we're going to do Rome. I know Tuscany's in there. I don't think we're making Sicily or southern Italy on this trip. I can
okay.
see that too, so we can coordinate. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's talk about bottles of wine everybody can pick up today in the store, even and enjoy at home. Good values now. I know there's a
Yeah,
wide swath
well,
of
I think selecting wines got to go beyond that, right? But I mean, I guess you can sit there and say, okay, my first thing is price, right? I don't want to, if it's an everyday drinking wine, I'm just stocking up for when I have friends, family, or just I need to knock the edge off when I get home from work every day. I would say that 20, maybe 25 and under is a good range. And I'd even qualify it as 10 to 20 range. So again, I think if you look at a good Cabernet, you're looking at um like Bonanza I mentioned. These are ones that I love a lot because I've tried so many different wines, and they stand up. They have good body, traditional bold Cabernet with that punch on the front end, the little bit of hey, I'm here in the mid palate, and that finishing trail that's nice and smooth. So that's kind of how I would articulate the qualities and the flavor notes of it. But I would say Bonanza. Then you get into like baby blue. That's a good blend. It's a red blend wine, and you're going to spend probably around that, a little bit over maybe 25 a bottle retail. Oh, another one is one of my probably even better than Bonanza is it's called Juggernaut. It's a black red kind of a tan label with a lion on it. Juggernaut. And I'll send these to you after the podcast here, but that right there is a phenomenal wine, and it's about the same price point, 17,
beautiful.
24.
We should remind everybody that when Mark recommends a painting, it doesn't mean you're going to like it, everybody.
Correct.
He's just talking about what he likes.
Well,
And
okay, you just brought up an amazing and spot on top thing right there. When it comes to wine, here's the thing that it drives me nuts. And I'm not in the wine space anymore right now, but just as of last year, up until last year, I was. Um, when I used to produce Melmar wines, wine enthusiasts would rate us 90 out of 100 points. You can only get 100 points. And we'd always get the same 90 points year after year after year. We go to competitions, we get 90 points. And that's fine. That's great. Anytime you get 90 plus, I mean, that's a great wine, right? It's a great score. But here's the thing. It's one person's flavor note. One individual tasted my wine at Wine Enthusiasts, and that's everywhere. And that's their opinion, right?
did they taste? But you said you were getting 90 wherever you went. It's not one person
Right, but it's one person, one judge that's
each
going
time.
right. Yeah, it's not a community or a sample of judges, six of us sitting around. So you got to remember that's that individual's that's their palate, right?
Right,
They're giving you because of their position within the organization they represent, their point of view and their score based on their palate, their
right.
flavor notes that they like. So each and every one of you guys out there that are looking into wine, and don't be afraid to tackle on, the complexities of wine. Embrace it. If it smells like grass, if it smells and tastes like strawberries or tastes like sawdust or bark off of a tree, that's how you're describing it. And that is unique and different for each and every one of us. And that's what makes wine so fun. you and I, Michael, can sit around and drink wine. We can swirl it. We can put our nose in it at a 45-degree angle, then take our sip and then describe each of it. And we're both going to describe it differently. We're going to have different experiences based off the experience that we've had, the things that we face in our day, our childhood memory. It's going to bring certain things forward when we're tasting that wine. And so, yeah, everyone's going to have a different flavor note.
Yeah, I don't know much about wine, but one of the early, I've been to some tastings, and wine tastings are interesting. Everybody, if you've never been to a wine tasting, they're so fun. They put out, is it
Oh
called a
yeah.
fleet, where they put out a bunch of samples?
Yeah, well, yeah, when you go to like restaurants and things like that, there's samples. At a wine tasting, you will get sometimes anywhere from 4 to 6, and I've been to some that have been
And
up
do
to.
they always go from least expensive to most expensive?
No, no, they when they do a wine, well, it depends. It depends on where you go. The wine events that I've gone to, it's always about starting with the white, the lightest wine, so like a rosé, working yourself up to the ports, right?
Okay.
All the way through the different um um different colors, like your rosés, your whites, your red wines, your burgundies, all the way to ports, right? Your heavy dessert kind of wine.
And the reason for that is the port would spoil your palate for other wines.
Oh yeah, yeah, you gotta. And what's interesting too, good wine events they will pair it with small plates. Like you might have dates, you might have a piece of fruit of some sort, some cheese, some meat, and depending on where you're at in that lineup, you taste and then you score your wine and you write down your notes so
Yeah.
that you have them. And those are the fun events. And I'll tell you a company that everyone's going to want to check out, if like yourself, if you really love wine and you want to go on your own personal journey of learning and you want to get the sample of, an aggregate of how everyone else on the planet scores that wine, look up QuiniWines.com.
So,
QUINI wines.com.
okay.
And they have an amazing platform that scores wine, 5 different flavor notes or 5 different senses to the wine. Check them out. You'll see. And I'll send you all this, Michael.
One of the best things I ever learned, hopefully this is still correct, when I was tasting wine, learning how to properly taste wine, because there's an art
Right.
to it. Uh, I never really got the hang of the bouquet thing, which is the smelling, you put your nose right into the glass.
Yeah.
I never got the hang of what you just described as it hits the palate, the front, the middle, what do you call it, mid
Yeah.
palate,
Your midpoint, your mid palate, then
finish.
the tail or the
Yeah,
trails.
never really dialed that in. But
Yeah.
there's a technique that I was taught. Uh, I think it's called aspiration or aspirating,
Okay.
where you kind of slurp the wine. What's that called?
No, I know what you're talking about. I just call it slurping. I don't know. I never follow the terms.
Is it legit?
I don't do that personally. Um, the my approach, I've done it. I just that for me it doesn't do anything.
Okay.
I don't know why people do that, but me,
For
I don't.
me, it enriches everything. I don't know if it's the air or. And I think it was the same basic idea of the, what do you call that? The decanter, that
You have the decanters and you have aerators.
the aerator, because it
Right.
puts air into the wine and allegedly somehow enhances it. I think that was the idea of doing that in your mouth. I,
Right.
mind you, the only time you ever see people doing that is at the wine tastings because it's gross. You never do
Yeah,
that in a
I
social
never really
situation.
understood it. Here's why. Okay, it's my personal preference, and another reason why people they're gonna do what they want to do when they drink wine, and that's beautiful. If you get the right glass with the white, if you're drinking a red like a Cabernet or a Merlot, a little bit full body wine, you want a wider glass because
Yes.
the way that it aerates. But if you learn how to properly swirl your wine without spilling it, every sip you take, when you set it down, you go pick it back up before you sip, aerate it, swirl it, open that up. Wine's alive, guys. What's beautiful about a good bottle of wine is as that wine stays open or you decant it, like you were saying, it's changing by the moment. So your first glass is going to taste vastly different than the last glass.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
By the way,
alive.
when I'm buying paintings, I sometimes jiggle them on the wall to aerate them.
There you go. And all of a sudden the eye swoops down and you got some abstract art now.
I do not. Do not write that down, anybody.
Yeah.
How about a recommendation for a white? We've got friends, a lot of ladies for some reason. Ladies
Yeah.
drink white wine. They like their peace porters. They like their white zin. They like their
Yeah.
chardonnays. What
Well,
do you?
I'll tell you, it seems like a lot of the wonderful ladies of the world, they love Emmolo. And it's a good wine by the Wagner family, the same people who make Camus. I say that because everyone knows Camus. So, Emmolo, it is an amazing Chardonnay.
Is it
Uh,
Emmolo?
Emmolo. I think it's two L's. Emmollo.
Oh,
Emmolo.
two M's and two L's.
Two M, two L's.
Okay.
And Jenny Wagner is the daughter of Chuck Wagner, and when she was, I think, 18 or early 20s, she took over that brand, and it was suffering under the portfolio. And Jen is such a vineyard brat, and she grew up obviously in the wine business, and she was grateful and humbled that her dad wanted her to take over the brand. So Jennifer took over the brand. It was named after her grandmother, and today it's become one of the most successful brands under the Wagner family's portfolio of wines.
Emmolo, got it. Tell
Yeah.
us about Michigan CMO. You parlayed your expertise in web development and digital marketing from your General Motors time.
Yeah.
As a consultant now, and you own this company, what do you do? I heard the phrase fractional CMO.
Yeah. Thank you. So outside of wine, I've been a product guy and a marketer my whole career. So 26 years I've been in marketing. So the way I looked at it is regardless of what ventures I've tackled, I've underneath the hood of that venture has always been my marketing, product development, and ability to take that product to market kind of experience. So when I got out of the wine space, I, wanted to really get back to the roots of my marketing and helping people. Do we build websites? Yeah, we'll do anything with your, design work, web development, mobile app development. The focus of Michigan CMO is hence the name CMO, Chief Marketing Officer, is we'll go into companies 2 million to 25 million in top line revenue, annual revenue that, will take over their marketing team. So we become either an extension to an internal or external team, or if they don't have a strong marketing department, I come in as their CMO regardless. Their fractional chief marketing officer. For those of you who don't need fractional, part-time, it's at a fraction of the cost of a full-time CMO, chief marketing officer, and I will bring my own team to that account. Like we're about ready to land a new account with a restaurant chain. I can't tell you who they are right now. Multiple locations across Michigan.
I'll bet when you get
And
the account, you're going to be telling us who they are.
that's right. And we're like 2 weeks away from me being able to announce it, but it's
Very
moving
good.
along very nicely. I will be the fractional chief marketing officer for that company across all their locations, and it will be my team that will take over their marketing. So it'll be, we will do the strategy, the tactical, and the measurement of everything marketing for them.
Yeah.
But that's what we do. We have clients of different sizes. I mean, some of our smaller clients, we do social media management, email marketing. We build everything, all the content, all the creative. We write the content. We do the videos. We post. We manage. We engage. We're a full-blown digital marketing agency. But Michigan CMO, our primary focus is I myself and others that are on my team that are fractional CMOs will come into a corporation. So if you're a business owner or you're an executive within a company and you're struggling with growth and profitable growth, we'll come in as a fractional CMO. And again, we'll work with your team, whether they're internal teams or external, and we'll help align to your vision and your mission to grow that company.
And do you have a niche? Are you extra strong in certain industries?
No, I wouldn't say that. I mean, really, if you look under the hood of marketing, the platform's identical. Your audience, your messaging, your tonality changes
Yeah.
up top, but underneath the tools, the business, the processes, it's really plug and
A
play. I mean,
keyword is a keyword.
what's that?
A keyword is a keyword.
Yeah, it's just going to be industry specific, So no, we do like right now. It seems like we have a lot of law firms, construction, uh, obviously now getting into the restaurant space, medical space, insurance companies across Michigan. We work with two very large ones right now in the insurance space. So it's I don't know. It's fun. You know what? The best thing about marketing that I like is when you really find an owner of a company that understands the value. Because the number one challenge that all of us marketers have out there is you have a business owner that has expectations here. I'll go up, I'll go here, and then budgets down here. That sets everyone up for failure. And then they sit and they complain why marketing isn't working. Well, you got to get this in alignment. If you
Yeah, yeah,
get it here, you're going to see marketing works, everybody. It works. You just got to
yeah.
know how to do it. If you don't know how to do it, hire me. I'll help you.
I love the term fractional. It reminds me of a funny line. The line is
Yeah,
that 5 out of every 4 people don't understand fractions.
correct. Yeah.
So finally, your podcast is impressive. I love the way you pre-promote your segments. I've never seen anybody do that, and I
Thank
found out mostly because you invited me to be on your show. Tell
Right.
everybody about where they can find your podcast, who you have on, why they should listen.
Thank you. So I just launched a new show 2 months ago called, I think it's been 2 months ago. It's moving quickly. We just filmed episode 6 yesterday with an amazing rock star out of Detroit, Sean Lee. So Imagine Better is the name of the show. And it's really about transforming every aspect of one's life. We all go through life's ups and downs. We're all struggling with something, right? If
I
somebody
know.
says they have zero challenges in life, I call you know what on that because we all do. And a lot of people, just by nature, it's a fabric of who we are as humans. A lot of times we're afraid to ask for help. So the show is really around providing guests, bringing guests on the show that can share their stories, who've lived through a lot of different changes in their life and struggles and traumas, and share that story and what they're doing and how they got through it and what are they doing today. A lot of these, like yourself, a lot of these people on my show are authors, speakers, they're coaches, they're amazing humans and they have a story. And it's so imaginebetterpodcast.com is where you can find the actual website. And then and you can follow us on YouTube, subscribe, make sure you hit the notification so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And when you subscribe, you'll get a lot of subscribers, they'll get first access to early release. Hint, hint, Sean Lee just dropped today for the subscribers. It'll be official next Wednesday for everyone else around the world. But it's awesome. It's a great and different. Nothing against Zoom and Google Meet type calls, but like I mentioned to you when you and I got together a couple of weeks, I wanted to bring something extra special in my world because I too have struggled the last 4 years. Not a lot of people know this. They're getting to know it because of my show. I have been struggling with depression. Nobody would know this. But inside, man, it's been dark, and I had to learn how to ask for help. I had to learn how to get access resources. So I've been going to therapy for the last year. I love it. I'll never stop going. It's not for just crazy people. It's for people that just need answers and need structure and strategies to become the best version of themselves. And then you start surrounding yourselves like the Michael Angelo Carusos of the world, who are just amazingly inspiring and have a wealth of knowledge. And so thank you for wanting to be on my show. And I can't wait to share the story that you have. And then your wife Renee is going to be the following week after you. So wow, the Caruso double whammer.
I serve as her opening act a lot.
She's a headliner and you're just opening.
I'm going to talk to your people about using presentations to improve their lives. I've got
Right.
at least 10 ways that they can do that. It's very easy to do.
I
And
can't wait.
Renee's, I think, going to go after nutrition and anti-aging strategies. Who doesn't
Yes.
want to live a longer quality lives?
And
Mark,
both topics hit on the lives of people and our everyday, everything that we do every day. Both of your topics are going to resonate with so many people.
good, good. I'm glad. Listen, I'm proud to know you. I'm sorry you've been having a rough time, but I'm really glad that you're getting help and
Thank
clarity because that's the secret for getting through this marathon called life.
you. Oh, you're not
Is
kidding.
understanding all the connections. So
Yep.
congratulations on that.
Thank you. Truly appreciate it. I think more people just need to share their stories, be a little bit more vulnerable. They will see a whole new side of change. Change is hard, you guys. Change is
Yeah.
you got to want it, you got to dig, and you got to find resources. So yeah, Michael, thank you. I'm glad we covered wine today. We covered marketing. We covered, mental wellness. What a great show.
It's like spinning the wheel and then people make a request. You want to talk about mental
Right.
health? You got it. You want to talk about wine? Here we go.
That's right. Here's a
I like
guest
these
that
kind of
has access to all
conversations.
of
And I
it.
certainly appreciate you being on. Thank you so much. And again, thanks everybody for watching. Check us out on the Michael Angelo Caruso YouTube channel. If you do like this kind of content, be sure to subscribe and click that little silver bell. That's called the notification bell on YouTube, because a lot of people join YouTube channels and then they're not notified of any new content. So you have to click that bell if you want to keep seeing the new vids. Mark Powers, thank you so much. MichiganCMO.com and also the imaginebetterpodcast.com, correct?
Correct. Thank
All
you.
right. Thanks, buddy. We'll see you soon.
All right. Have a great one, Michael. Thank you, everyone.